Brent Schindler worked in the U.S. Senate while attending law school. He then practiced law for 20 years and has experience on local school boards and city councils. In 2006, he started teaching online for the University of Phoenix. Since 2013, he has taught in Teton County School District. Brent is the current mayor of Tetonia, Idaho, a small town with only 409 residents. He also teaches government at the local high school.
I know that as I look objectively at the future of Tetonia, there's a lot of policies that I think that we could benefit from. I have to be really careful, though, in acknowledging the history and where the people are right now. And I have to be careful not to do anything too quickly. And so in a way, I have to take some of those policy issues and just keep them as guiding principles as we go through our day-to-day type issues. So I want to preserve the heritage of Tetonia. And so, growth is inevitable. And I know we've been growing despite people who try to pretend like we're not. And so I think that we need to grow in a way that helps preserve that history that we have. So, and that's really a hard thing because I can't be non-growth because you would just be fighting against the storm. The growth is happening, and so we have to be smart, smart growth oriented in a way that we're very, very patient. And so, whereas if I were to start talking about how I see we're going to be in 5 years, I know a lot of people would be turned off, but we have to grow as we naturally grow in a way that in 5 years we're at a smart place. And so that type of smart growth. Another thing that in Tetonia, we have a tiny budget. And so, we have to do whatever we do within our budget. And I know a lot of people have grand ideas, and I don't, I think those grand ideas are good, but we have to implement those grand ideas in a way that we can budget, that we can pay for those. And so there again, we have to be very, very careful and very, very patient as we see those policies fall into place as to what that that infrastructure, that growth is going to look like, so that we can afford it year to year. And I know right now, a lot of the beautification, a lot of the improvements that we're thinking, that we're hoping to do, we're having to do without any budget. So with volunteer and with grants. And so there again, patience is the huge key to a small town like Tetonia. The smart growth is one of those. And then I think as we mature as a city, as we grow naturally as a city, I think then those guiding principles will become those policies that will, and so even though they're not the same, they're totally interrelated. And if you'd like, I can send you a list of those guiding principles after the call. Absolutely, absolutely. And we actually have a nice thing where in each, we have some goals that, again, I think are similar to the guiding principles that in each city council meeting, we review those goals to see where we are with those. And a lot of times, it seems like we've not made progress, though we can point that the decisions we have made have fit within those goals. And so I think that that's been a good way to at least at a minimum know that we haven't gone against those policies, but in a good way, we're following those policies as they develop. That's actually an issue I have not discussed with my city council, and we probably won't because it's more of an education issue. I've actually talked in fact, right now we're having that discussion with my government classes on that bill specifically. The My personal view is that we are very behind the times as far as Idaho goes with regard to sex ed. I think that we do our kids a great disservice, and I think that we have talked about the sex ed education that they've received so far. There was a class in the middle school where they talked about body parts and body functions, and just very superficially. We had 3 years ago here at the school, they had or maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they had an assembly where they talked about sex but never said the word sex. And So it's been interesting talking to the kids. They all recognize that their education in sex ed has been deficient. And so my fear with an opt-in, as it's been proposed, and the kids have sort of agreed with that. I actually have not told them my views. I've let them come up with their own positions, but they think that it would be embarrassing to get an opt-in from the parents, and the parents that they thought that would be an awkward discussion, and that some of the kids who really needed that education of those lessons would be preempted just because either the kid would not want to talk to the parent or the parent would not agree. And so we had that conversation. Personally, I think that we need to have a set class, a required class that the kids take unless the parents decide to opt them out. So as an educator, that is my preference.
The wise alternative to Idaho House Bill 249 would to not pass it and remain an opt-out system on sexual education. However, because of the lack of sexual education in the state, advancing the health education system would be very beneficial. Currently, Idaho has a statute that states sexual education should be determined at the local level, and if it's implemented, it should be encouraged lessons at the home and family level. The state does not have a sexual education mandate, so a great alternative would be to make a mandate that requires sexual education in all Idaho schools. The state practices abstinence currently. In order to protect the youth and the future of Idaho, there needs to be a more open discussion about sex with students in schools rather than sheltering them from it. This would include, but not limited to, discussion on topics such as sexual activity, contraception, STIs and STDs, etc. Overall, sexual education keeps students and youth safe and healthy when they decide to become sexually active. Therefore, accurate and thorough sexual education should not only be mandated in Idaho, but all states.